Yeah, leader. Once you get to a certain rank, and anybody who's ever been knows it and stayed in long enough, your MOS is pretty much irrelevant anymore. It's how are you going to lead these soldiers, whether it's a squad, a platoon, a battery if you're FA, all of that stuff as it keeps going up and up and up. Because I got to Sergeant First Class, which is it's good, right?
Return to Roots Podcast. Welcome. Today we bring you Troy Dotson. He is about to be retired Army veteran, currently going through his transition leave, and here to talk to us about the Hundro Club. Without further ado, welcome Troy to the show.
Appreciate it, guys.
Yeah, man. Hey, when is your last day in the Army, brother?
June 30th this year. A couple months away.
Oh man! So right around when this airs, you'll be out of the Army, man, and kind of looking back at this. So, hey, everybody that's out there, I want you guys to do me a quick favor. I want you guys to like, subscribe, follow, share this with other veterans, share this with other transitioning service members. These stories and about transitioning out of the military can help other transitioning service members. So please share that. Hey, Troy, what is the best way to get a hold of you, man?
So my Facebook, which is it'll be on the screen. That's where I do most of my connecting with as far as veteran groups, other Facebook groups. If you're on LinkedIn, it's just Troy Dotson Insurance. Obviously, I connect with veterans on there too, business people, entrepreneurs, realtors. Can I give out my phone number on here?
Yeah, it's your show,
okay.
Brother. Do what you want.
Yeah, so I'm actually keeping the same number when I retire. So it's 915-801-8801. If anybody wants to connect, the best thing is just send me a text because I'm in meetings almost all day long these days. Send me a text whether you want to connect about business stuff or talk about veteran stuff or want to know about resources. Yeah, they can connect with me just by sending me a text.
Troy, can you tell us, right now you're going through the transition process, right? So you're still trying to figure out your footing and everything. But if you could go back in time to before you joined the military and you could talk to that 18-year-old self, 16, 17, 18-year-old self, right? What advice would you give yourself to make the transition into the military and for your career the whole way successful?
So if I was still to join the military, talking to myself at 18 years old, because I initially only joined because somebody agreed to join with me, and he didn't join, and I did. So, he knows who he is. I'll let him know that I said this on the podcast. And it's not like I regret going to the Army. I don't whatsoever, but I probably would have picked a different job. I came in as a mechanic because that's what I've known since I was 12 years old. But I don't want to be a mechanic when I get out of the Army. I probably would have tried to pick a job where I actually wanted to do it outside of the military. But I mean, of course, I came in at 18. I didn't know anything about life whatsoever. I was just a kid. But I probably would have said, hey, probably get a better game plan and learn a little bit more before you join. Because I mean, I just came in on a whim and then just started rolling with it. But for the first few years in the Army, I didn't really have a plan. I was just there, just doing what I was told. So I would have definitely tried to create a better plan of where I wanted to go with my career before joining. And yeah, that's pretty much it.
And right now that you're in this gap, right? From what you've learned so far, if you could go back a year or 2 years before, right? What advice would you give yourself when it comes to transition?
So this is something I learned from quite a few people that were getting out, and I started doing this, but as I'm looking back now, I wish I would have done it more. I created my business because I knew I wanted to be an entrepreneur before I got out. I created my first business in 2020. Of course, COVID hit. That's a whole nother podcast episode right there. But I would say first off is figure out
the enemy. COVID.
Yeah. Didn't go so well at first, but I transitioned over to creating my own business under my name and being independent in what I do. But I would say find your passion first. Figure out what it is you want to do after the Army, because like me, I didn't want to be a mechanic after I got out of the Army. So it's not like it was an easy transition just to become a mechanic. Um, I want to do some completely different than what I was doing in the Army. So I would say find out what your passion is and kind of have that as your basis, your underlying, like your foundation of what you want to do when you actually do get out. And then if you want to be an entrepreneur like I did, start a business. And now there's a lot of cheaper ways to start a business versus back then. Um, you know, and take that passion and figure out what do I want to do with this passion and how do I want to, what, like mine is helping people. That's my passion, is helping veterans specifically, educating people. That's what I love to do. So that's why I got into the financial space that I'm in now. Of course, back then it was more of just the insurance space, but now I've kind of ventured over. Um, but yeah, I would say find your passion, figure out what it is you want to do when you get out, and start creating those looks, just like you did in the Army. Start creating, or in your military services, create your short and long term goals. So say, what do I want to accomplish this week? What do I want to accomplish 3 months, 6 months, and then a year from now? And then focus on doing that, because so many people, they get out, and I've seen it so many times in my little bit over 20 years, is they'll get out and they'll be like, yeah, I'm going to go do this. And then like 3 months later, like, and whether retiring or not, I was like, man, I didn't have this planned out at all. Like when I went to join the Army again, I was like, dude, don't do that. Figure it out, man. You can do it. You know what I mean? Like some people just don't. They have this idea of what they think they're gonna do, and then when reality sets in and the world sets in, they're like, man, I was not prepared for this whatsoever. And I was like, yeah, it's called planning, bro. It's called prioritizing. Um, but yeah, that's what I would say.
Yeah, if it was easy, everybody would be doing it, right? Everybody would be running around being an entrepreneur.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you talked about finding your purpose, brother. So, and I imagine insurance isn't really your purpose. And you kind of you hinted on it, but what is it that drives you to do insurance? What is that purpose behind doing that?
Trust me, it's not like I grew up or was like, hey, I'm going to sell insurance. That's not like what that wasn't the goal. Um, it started back when I was in Iraq, my first time in Iraq back in 2005. And of course, I was still a kid, obviously. I think it was like maybe 20 years old, 19, something like that. And then I realized, like, seeing how helpless some people are. It's not like all of them, but in other countries I've been to, like, there's so many people that need help. And that kind of, over the years, I didn't really think about it. But then at some point, I was like, you know what, man, I really just want to help people. Whether it's the homeless person on the street, if I could, um, giving people freaking leftovers after I leave, Chili's or something like that that's sitting under a bridge in El Paso. Um, but I found out that I really just want to help people, and the insurance part just kind of happened later on, and I kind of stumbled into it because I, like a lot of people and how they started, I got a message on Instagram, and it was a recruiter, and mind you, they didn't work out with that person or that company, but that stemmed the whole process of me going through and finding where I'm at now. And of course, I'm solely independent, so I kind of do everything on my own. But the passion is to help people, and the insurance way was a kind of way to kind of get in there and to start doing it that way. And then I've just kind of gone over the years, because like I said, I started my business in 2021, and I've just kind of figured out more ways to help others. But the insurance space and now the financial space is just a way to get in there to do it. But that's kind of that. I mean, that's the main underlying portion right there. That's my main focus.
It's funny that you mentioned being overseas and seeing people that were in need. And it kind of brings me back to like my time in Afghanistan, man. We used to have like MREs that we'd take out to the outside.
Yeah.
We had them to a group of kids. We would give them food. And man, their faces whenever they got that MRE, man, it's priceless. It's something that's burned into my memory. And they would get it, and they would literally be so joyous that they got this MRE. And it's just something that's always stuck with me. And I totally dig that, man. That it's not about selling that insurance. It's about making sure that the people that you are taking care of are actually taken care of. So that's pretty honorable, brother. What? So you said that you're a mechanic. What kind of mechanic are you?
So, of course, I joined in years ago, and MOS has changed a lot. But I came in as a heavy equipment repairer. So working on HETs, HEMTs, PLSs, big equipment. Kind of got into forklifts too. I actually enjoyed. Um, but then it transitioned. Army changes. Went to another MOS, another MOS. So now it's just all-wheel vehicle repair. Which encompasses everything. But of course, when you get up to be a sergeant first class, and of course a master sergeant, your MOS is everything. So, it just goes into everything. Strikers, paladins, like it encompasses everything. Um, and it's not that I didn't enjoy it. I love being a mechanic because I like to find a problem and I like to fix it, whatever it is. But essentially it was everything. Diesel primarily, obviously, because that's what the Army loves to use. But I mean, there's always gas powered stuff too. Got my lawnmower fixed. It's over 20 years old, in my garage. So, and like I said, it's always been a passion of mine. But it's like I'm 39, about to be 40 in November. So it's not like, dude, I don't have the body for this anymore. I want to focus on helping others and
Exactly.
from the comfort of my office. Yep.
My sister was telling me because I'm still active. I'm about to hopefully this year retire,
Yeah.
right? And I've been saying that on this podcast for a
Mm,
year and a half now.
good.
So that's besides the point I'm debating. But my sister was like, "Well, why don't
Yeah.
you go into the aviation, the maintenance side?" I was like, "If you knew how body intensely
Yeah.
maintenance is, you wouldn't wish that upon me. You know what I mean? Uh,
Yeah.
to her point, it was mostly about not letting that experience go to waste. But for
Yeah.
us, and correct me if I'm wrong, Troy, our experience doesn't have to necessarily be just with the maintenance or with the aviation, or in your case, the maintenance of the equipment. It can also be with the management. It can also be with the leadership. It can
Yeah.
also be with the taking care of the people, right? So because due to
Hmm.
the military, we do, even though we have one MOS, we have a plethora of other things that we do that we are responsible for, especially taking care of people.
Yeah. Leader. Once you get to a certain rank, and anybody who's ever been knows it and stayed in long enough, your MOS is pretty much irrelevant anymore. It's how are you going to lead these soldiers, whether it's a squad, a platoon, a battery, if you're FA, all of that stuff as it keeps going up and up and up. Because I mean, I got to some first class, which is, it's good, right? Like I know I could make my sergeant if I stayed in, but I didn't want to, because then I'd have to do another 3 years on top of,
Yeah.
wherever I was at the time. But yeah, I mean, like it's once at a certain point, leadership it needs to kick in. It should kick in. Doesn't kick in for everybody. But yeah, then it just becomes taking care of people. Yeah, I was in the Army whenever toxic leadership reigned supreme. So yeah, I know all about bad leaders and good leaders. So
No, that's a good point about how you need to be that leader, right? And first off, I think one of the biggest things is to be a leader of yourself. You know, be that leader for yourself, so that way when you start your transition, you start leading yourself, um, and also maintaining that mindset, man. What is it? What is it that you would tell transitioning service members in regards to a mindset of transitioning?
I would say, I don't know if this even sounds right, but I would just say be ready. Um, a lot of people think it's just easy, and I'm not gonna lie, I thought it was gonna be easy for a little bit there, until I realized, like, and it's not. The transition is easy in an aspect, but mentally, it's just a complete mind shift. Um, the civilian world is so different. I haven't experienced the civilian world. I mean, I go in the civilian world, obviously. I haven't stayed in my house for 20 years, but interacting and being around others in the civilian world all the time, like I am now, it's so different because their mindset is not the same, right? Like I can say certain things around veterans, no matter what branch, especially Marines, because I do have somebody who's a Marines, and we all understand each other. but you can't speak the same way you do to civilians because they don't have the same mindset. They haven't gone through the same things. Um, I would just tell them like be mentally ready. However, you have to do that. Whether it's like I love listening to podcasts. I like to read. Now I haven't been reading as much as I normally would, but I love to read. That's how I kind of get in the mindset of things. I just listen to what other people say, and I'm like, man, okay, that's a valid point. I should write that down for one. Taking notes is still vital in my life, um, and then figure out, how can I get into that same mindset. But the main thing is a lot of people just think things come easily because in the military, and here's another point: in the military, things do come easily. You get paid, you get really cheap health care, dental care, food, DFAC food. Still love DFAC food. I'm not gonna lie, even after 20 years. Um, Especially DFAC coffee. But
especially if it's an Air Force DFAC,
like everything. Yeah, Air Force DFACs in Iraq were on point. But
oh man, they were I love the Air Force.
yeah, we used to walk 5 miles around installation. It was about 5 miles, like 4 or 5 miles, just to go to the other side of I'm not gonna say where, but in Iraq, just to go to the Air Force DFAC and get their desserts. But and it would be 120 degrees outside. We would still go because we wanted good food in Iraq. But it's just yeah, well, it was definitely worth it, especially with like all the other things you had to go through. But it's just getting yourself in the right mindset.
Walk out there with a pocket full of Rip It.
Yeah, yes. Oh man, yeah. I can't speak about all the things we did over there. Going to different fobs and cobs and LSAs to get from the DFAC and steal them out of the back of the warehouse area was nothing we ever did. Trust me, but it was yeah. No, I'm just kidding. We did, but it's but like I was saying, like everything's given to you, like it really, really is. Um, you 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 really can't get fired from the military, right? Like you can get chaptered, but it's not like a day thing. Like in the civilian world, you can just get fired for not doing your job, but in the military, you could be a POS and still have a job. But in the civilian world, that's not it's not the same. So a lot of people think, oh yeah, it's easy. I'll show up late in the civilian world and I'll be fine because I can do it in the army. Nah, bro, it's not how it works. But it's literally just finding ways to get into that mindset of like how am I going to succeed? How am I going to push myself like I did in the military? Um, Mind you, I'm not like a supreme alpha male, and I don't really care to be at the front of the pack. But at the same point, I'm definitely not going to be towards the bottom. Um, and I'm realizing I didn't really think about this at the time, but man, you guys got me thinking. Um, I'm around other people that are civilians, right? In the group that I work with, and I just it's some of them like I can tell they're not really trying, but I'm like, man, that's just so easy to do that. But my mindset is completely different. I push to excel and I push to be better than and just a way to exceed and past others and to try to make my way to be the top again like I was in the military so I can lead others and teach others and train others. And a lot of in the civilian world that's not a doesn't seem to be a normal thing that I've experienced so far. So I am thankful for that. But literally, like I said, it just gets down to the mindset. Just get your mindset right before you transition out, and you're just sitting there on the side of a road, like, what the hell am I doing in my life?
There's something that you said that really kind of stuck out to me, man. And you talked about how you were first like looking into something and it failed, and then that failure led you to something
Mm-hmm.
else. And I think that when you prepare for your transition, you're going to fail, but you're going to be protected because you're still being employed, you still have insurance. And I think that 2 year mark is the best time to start looking at what you're going to be doing and start
Yes.
like just really analyzing things. And then if you fail during that time frame, you're good. It's better to fail when you still
Yeah.
have that fallback. And by the way, I'm not telling people to drop their packs. Carry your packs, do your job, but also prepare for your
Yep.
transition.
Yeah.
And that's the
Yeah.
thing. It's like you need to start doing that because you failed while you were protected, and then you started something new, and it's
Mm-hmm.
obviously we don't know how successful it is once you're out, but I'm willing to imagine you're going to have a lot better success because you did that process early instead
Yeah.
of after.
Yeah.
And it's crazy when the 1st and the 15th comes and you don't get paid. That's the
Yep.
first
Exactly right.
kick. That's the first kick, and it takes a while for once you get out. If you retire, it takes a while for your pay to get done correctly, and it takes a while for your VA process to go through. So there's a period of time where you're just like, I'm used to the 1st and 15th. So if you're not planning that 2-year mark out, man, yeah, it's rough, man. So I appreciate you sharing that part, brother.
So the TAP process changed, right, for retirees at least, where it used to be, I think, a year, 18. I don't even remember what the hell it used to be, but whenever I took over, right before I started, it's a 2-year process. So it's funny you say you start 2 years before you get out, right? Well, also your TAP process starts 2 years before you get out. So it's just funny how those two things align with each other.
Exactly. And now, Troy, can you tell us what is the One Hundro Club and how did you come become part of it and why are you part of it?
Yeah. So the Hundo Club is what it is and what it will be are two different things. What it is right now, it's a club, still fairly new, but the main focus is we provide as much resources for free and assistance to all veterans of any branch, of any age, right, in order to help them with whatever life has thrown their way. Whether, I mean, just be straightforward. If somebody's experienced suicidal ideations, we have people on our team that they can talk to, right? It's not like you have to call a 1-800 number and talk to some random person who might or might not have been a veteran, might or might not have experienced combat. But we have people that have gone through the same experiences as others, and that way there's people to talk to. So like I stay around the financial area with a guy, Mr. Salinas, that's kind of part of our group. So if anybody wants to know anything about finance, we teach them about finance. Just basic stuff. But it's just a group to help veterans get through life, get through circumstances, help with their VA claims. I mean, literally anything. That's the start of it. What the end of it is going to be, what I don't think there'll ever be an end. It'll be continually growing. Is one resource for all veterans to go to for anything they ever need. And this is not going to be just in America. I'm hoping we will go to other countries, and I think we will. And I'm sure Ed might have talked to you a little bit about that himself, but like, you know what I mean? Like we want to help veterans of all kinds because I worked with numerous veterans or military, of course, back then military people when I was in Iraq, worked with the British, worked with Australians, worked with some people from different African countries, obviously worked with Iraqi forces. You know what I mean? And I loved all of it. I loved collaborating with all these other countries with their military personnel, right? Because that's how you learn things and gain knowledge of like the stuff that they go through. But that's what it is. It is and what will become like the greatest resource for veterans to go to for anything they possibly need. And we will offer as much services for free as we possibly can, instead of them having to worry about researching on Google. Like where can I speak to somebody about this that may or may not charge me an arm and a leg? Well, you just come to us, man, and most of it's free anyways. But that's pretty much what it is. We just want to help people get through life, especially after they get out, whether it was 2 years, 3 years, or 23 years, and with their process out in life, and help them reach their goals.
So how can our listeners and our community get involved with the One Hundro Club?
Yeah, so just on Facebook, you can start by joining the Facebook group. Of course, you can reach out to me. Like I said, I gave out my number. You can hit me up on Facebook, LinkedIn, whatever the case is. But just go to the Facebook search. I think it's like a Meta AI search now or something like that, and put in Veteran Hundo Club, HUNDO. It's weird, man. It's taking over. But go on there, and just join the group. Reach out to one of us. Obviously, the group is growing, so it's an ever evolving thing. Um, but if you can't find it, just reach out to me, and I will definitely assist you right then and there. So.
Are there special people that you guys are looking for right now to help this grow more successfully? Is there a specific demographic that will be more helpful?
Well, right now, primarily what we're looking for is more leadership, like more people that can train people on things. Um, because obviously this is something that's done for the most part after hours, right? Like I have my own business, I have a family, I have kids, right? Like, and I have a ton of appointments each day, so it's not really that this is not something that I can continually monitor, but at least it's something that I know at the end of the day, after I get through all my points, I can go in there and I can see who's come in, I can see who's shown up there. But the main thing is, yeah, we're looking for good leadership, man. Like, that's definitely what we could use for sure. It's great to have soldiers, but at the same point, we need leaders to help, like show them soldiers and give them the right direction and stuff like that for sure. Um, I'm always looking for more people that can help with the financial space. Obviously, as long as our values and our morals align, I'm all for other people helping. But yeah, mainly leadership is what we're looking for.
That's kind of one of the best parts about what you guys are doing for not only other service members but for each other. The different programs that you guys offer. It's not just financial. It's not just talking about VA claims. It's a whole entire round service package. And one thing that us as leaders in the veteran resource field, we need to also do is also make sure that we take the time to support each other. And when you're doing this in a silo, it doesn't work as well. And that's why building a tribe is so important to Mil2Vet. It's so important. We put it in our slogan. Uh, it's super important. And if you guys are looking for that tribe, I think the Hundro Club is a tribe worth checking out. So, uh, brother, before we actually roll out, I got one question, man. What book, what media, or podcast, whatever it is, that really is kind of helping you get through your own transition?
Yeah, so I'm the type of individual, like I don't read shit if it doesn't. I don't know if I can say that word, but if it doesn't help me with knowledge, and gaining more experience. So like everything I read is pretty much financial based or like self improvement. So it's Grant Cardone has the 10x rule. I think it's what it's called. I was trying to look it up beforehand. I love that book. I actually want to reread that book again. Rich Dad Poor Dad. You can never get away from that one. The author, he has obviously other books too, but like I even got my son reading that book. Um, there's um, dang, I'm trying to remember the other one. But it's I think it's like how to make friends and influence people or something like that. I actually found it at staff duty at the staff duty desk, and I was like, oh, this looks interesting. Yeah, and I read it, and I was like, holy cow, that's insightful. As far as podcasts, so actually podcasts is what I started learning about the insurance industry at the beginning, and I always listened to the same two podcasts, and that was the Cody Askins podcast, who he works with our agency also, and then the Life Insurance Academy podcast. I listen to those two.
I'll
And
listen
of
to
course,
them.
those are pretty much one. Do you really? Yeah, those are entrepreneurship and insurance and financial specific. So obviously, if you're trying to go to another sector, yeah, you can. It's the entrepreneurship is there, but that's what I listen to because it gives you a real good insight into the insurance space, the financial space, entrepreneurs, how do they start their own business. I would recommend those, but of course, like I said, they're more specific towards insurance and finance. I still listen to them. I always wait for new episodes to come out. I also started listening to the Ed Milet show. Ed Milet is very, very insightful. A great entrepreneur. Has definitely moved up in the world. I started listening to his podcast too. I actually need to go back and listen from the very beginning. But yeah, those are the ones that I recommend personally.
Like it, man. Like it a lot. I just recently got invited to be part of the 10X in San Antonio. I wanted to go and travel over there. Didn't do it. It was too short fuse, but it does. I was able to stream it online. Fantastic, fantastic. And that book is fascinating. The concepts, the leadership, it allows you to basically rethink what are you really doing with your life? Is it really worth it? You know what I mean? Another book that I recommend for you to add to your arsenal is uh, the Choose Your Enemies Wisely, and that is all about
Oh, yeah.
entrepreneurship. And
See, that's why you always have a
here it
notepad and pen
is
right here.
to all. We, we are currently, as a
Oh, okay.
collective, the Mil2Vet family. We're reading this book uh, to improve it. I've read it twice. I should say I've listened to it twice. It was that good that I had to buy the physical copy so that we could do the physical exercises
Yeah,
together because it is amazing.
yeah,
Um, especially for you as an
yeah. That's
entrepreneur,
all. Actually,
definitely recommend that.
yeah. I remember him saying something about that because I saw. I think it was on a reel, and he was talking about that. Yeah.
Yeah, no, it is really an insightful book, and it talks about entrepreneurs and entrepreneurs. And I never really heard of
Hmm.
entrepreneurs
Yeah.
until this book. And it's funny because you got people that are growing businesses, and then you got people that are growing themselves. And honestly, you gotta do both at the same time. You got to
Hmm.
grow yourself while you're growing a business. And if you're not spending that valuable time on yourself, and pouring back into yourself, and that's where, like, taking a knee, sometimes, I know it's not politically correct to say take a knee, but sometimes you need to take that 10-second, reflect on what you're doing, and then act. And a lot of things is, a lot of us just react. We react to a situation. We don't actually sit and digest what's going on. And this book is well written. The audiobook is fantastic. In fact, the author has a lot more nuggets in the audiobook than the handwritten book, because he
Hmm.
read it himself, and he put in a lot of extra stuff in there after the fact. And it's
Yeah.
a really really good read. So yeah, we appreciate you coming on here, brother, spending your time with us, talking to us about One Hundro Club. We look forward to not only hearing about your transition, but also about what the One Hundro Club grows into. And Mildevet is here to kind of document all that stuff. So we definitely want to have you back later on in your transition after you're out, and come check up with us. We invite you to come back and let us know how everything that you did in preparation for transitioning actually did help you out. So that way, our brothers and sisters that are about to go through this hear this and listen to it and understand. Yes, I need to start planning. And brother, it's so awesome. I'm a big financial nerd too. I just couldn't
Good.
sit down in the office that long. I'm
Yeah.
too much of a busybody. Um,
Yeah.
but yeah, brother. So I appreciate you coming on.
Yeah. I appreciate the opportunity, and I will definitely document everything, man. I'll give you all. Of course, I'll send you a whole spreadsheet, play by play, and then of course, whenever we do reconnect, we can just go through obviously the fine points that people will find beneficial. But yeah, yeah, it'll be awesome.
So why don't we make it official? When do you retire officially? When's your
June
date
30th.
again? June 30th. How about in July,
June.
mid-July,
Yeah, June 30th. Yeah.
July 15th is? How about we set it up so that you can
Yeah.
come back and tell us what is your perspective then, and that way, and then we set it up basically. I would say June 31st, right, or July 1st, but you
There's no
want to
June
have that little
31st.
buffer, right? Hey,
Yeah.
that's why I corrected
Yeah.
myself. But we want you to have that little buffer because we know how from other people's experiences how difficult that week or those 2 weeks are once you take off the pack. You know what I mean? And it'll give you that little um, time as a buffer. But we would love to have you then, so that you can share where your mindset is at, what you have seen now that you officially have transferred into the veteran community, right? Chris, he's almost a year out right now. He's still going through that process, and I haven't experienced it. I've experienced it vicariously through everybody that we've interviewed. I haven't been there, right? But even through that is still a very good experience to hear the mindsets and how everything changes throughout the process.
Okay. Yeah, most definitely.
Perfect. And with that, Troy, we thank you so much for your time. We thank you for everything that you shared with us, and can't wait to have you back on the show. I know we're running short on time. We would love to keep you here a little bit longer, but we'll bring you back and we'll talk a little bit more.
Okay, sounds good for me, man.
Yeah, everybody that's listening to this, I want you to take a look at the bottom of the screen, and I want you to link up with Troy on LinkedIn. All right. Also, check out Hundro Club. They got some great stuff. We got more guests coming, so keep listening in the following weeks to brothers and sisters. Hey, remember this, Mil2Vet tribe. It is your transition, so take charge of it. So, all rainbows and unicorns out there. Mil2Vet out.